I arrive home late again, the familiar scent of home wrapping around me like a blanket. The house is quiet, dark except for the soft glow of the hallway light. I'm tired, but there's a comfort in the routine. Keys on the hook, shoes off at the door. It's the little things that ground me, that remind me of the life Lily and I have built together, or at least what's left of it. I've been married to Lily for 5 years now. We met at a charity event. She was the most beautiful woman in the room, full of life and confidence. I was instantly drawn to her, and she made me feel like I was the only man who mattered. We moved fast, got married within a year. Things were good for a while, but then the cracks started to show. I can't pinpoint when it began, but somewhere along the line, we drifted. The passion that once burned bright between us now flickers weakly. She's always been independent, and I love that about her, but now it feels like she's slipping away. We don't talk like we used to, and the sex has become infrequent, almost mechanical. It's like we're living in the same house, but in different worlds. I walk into the hallway, and that's when I see them, a pair of high heels that don't belong to Lily. My heart skips a beat, a cold dread washing over me. They're a size too small, the style not something Lily would wear. I tell myself she probably had a friend over, but the unease lingers, a knot tightening in my gut. I shake it off, heading upstairs. The bedroom door is slightly ajar, and I push it open to find Lily sprawled on the bed, still in the dress she wore to the party tonight. The soft rise and fall of her chest tells me she's asleep, her breathing slow and heavy. The dress is bunched up around her thighs, a flash of skin exposed in the dim light. I start to undress, the exhaustion of the day catching up to me, but then I see it, red marks on her neck. My heart plummets as I step closer, the dim light doing little to hide the angry splotches against her pale skin. HICKEYS. I freeze, my breath catching in my throat. The smell of alcohol hangs heavy in the air, mixed with something else, something masculine. It's not my cologne, that's for damn sure. I lean closer, my hand trembling as I reach out to touch the marks. She stirs, half awake, and mutters, "Shut up, I'm an independent woman. I can do whatever I want." Then she's out again, leaving me standing there in the dark, my world crumbling around me. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed about my life and my marriage, shatters in that moment. I'm left standing in the darkened room, my mind racing, trying to grasp the reality that's just slammed into me. This is the moment that changes everything. I barely sleep that night. My mind races with images I can't push away. Lily's flushed skin, the red marks on her neck, the reek of another man's scent lingering in our bedroom. When the first light of dawn creeps through the curtains, I'm already wide awake, my heart pounding with dread and anger. I have to know the truth. Lily stirs next to me, her breath shallow, still caught in the haze of last night's alcohol. I watch her, my chest tightening. I can't pretend everything's fine, not after what I saw. "Lily," I say, my voice low but sharp. "Wake up." She groans, turning away from me, pulling the blanket over her head. I yank it back, my patience gone. "Get up, Lily," I demand. She finally opens her eyes, squinting against the light. "What the hell, Ryan? It's too early." I can't hold back any longer. "What the hell is right? What happened last night? Who were you with?" She blinks, confusion giving way to irritation. "What are you talking about?" "The hickeys on your neck," I snap. "Don't play dumb with me." Her hand flies to her throat, covering the marks. "You're overreacting," she mutters, trying to push past me, but I block her way. "Overreacting?" I come home to find my wife drunk, smelling like some other guy, and I'm overreacting? She glares at me, her eyes flashing with anger. "You're always so controlling, Ryan. You can't stand that I have a life outside of you." My blood boils at her words. "This isn't about control. This is about trust. You think you can do whatever you want, and I'll just stand by and take it?" Her silence is my answer. I can't believe this is happening. The woman I love, the woman I've devoted my life to, has been unfaithful. The betrayal cuts deep, and I feel my world unraveling. "You're cheating on me, aren't you?" I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Lily's eyes drop to the floor. "It's not what you think," she mumbles. but there's no conviction in her voice. Then what is it? I demand. Explain to me how these hickeys got on your neck if it's not what I think. She opens her mouth to speak, but I see it. The hesitation, the flicker of guilt in her eyes. She's been caught, and she knows it. I turn away, disgusted, feeling like I'm suffocating in my own home. I'm not doing this with you, she finally says, her tone flat, as if she's resigned to whatever happens next. You need to back off, Ryan. I'm an independent woman, and I can make my own choices. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I can't believe the audacity, the coldness in her voice. This isn't the woman I married. This is someone else entirely, someone I don't recognize. I storm out of the bedroom, needing air, needing space to think. My thoughts are a chaotic mess, a storm of anger, confusion, and heartbreak. I know I need answers, but I don't know where to start. I can't just let this go. I won't. Downstairs, I pace the living room, trying to calm the rage that's building inside me. That's when I see her phone on the coffee table, the screen dark. I hesitate for a moment, my hand hovering over it. I've never invaded her privacy like this before, but after what I've seen, I need to know the truth. I grab the phone and quickly unlock it, my hands trembling. I scroll through her messages, my heart pounding harder with each one I read. Most of them are harmless, exchanges with friends and coworkers, but then I find a thread with a name I don't recognize. Derek. The messages are explicit, each word like a dagger twisting deeper into my chest. It's not just a fling, it's an affair, one that's been going on for months. The realization crashes over me like a wave, leaving me breathless, drowning in pain and fury. I hear footsteps on the stairs and quickly pocket her phone, my mind spinning with the implications of what I've just discovered. Lily walks into the room, her expression wary, like she knows what I found. Who the hell is Derek? I ask, my voice cold, barely controlled. Her eyes widen, and for a moment she looks panicked, but then she pulls herself together, crossing her arms over her chest defensively. That's none of your business. None of my business? I can't believe what I'm hearing. You're my wife, Lily. This is absolutely my business. You're suffocating me, Ryan, she shoots back. You've always been like this, always needing to control everything. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with your work, you would have noticed I'm not happy. Her words sting, but they don't change the facts. She cheated, she betrayed me, and now she's trying to blame me for it. So this is my fault? I ask, incredulous. You're the one who stepped out on our marriage, not me. She doesn't respond, just stares at me with the same cold, detached expression. It's like she's completely shut down, unwilling to give me anything that might make this easier to understand. I realize then that there's nothing left to salvage. Our marriage is over. I'm done, I say finally, the words heavy, final. I want a divorce. Lily's face pales, the color draining from her cheeks. She wasn't expecting this. You can't be serious, she says, her voice shaking for the first time. You're just angry. We can work through this. No, I say, my voice firm. I can't trust you anymore, Lily. This isn't something we can fix. You broke us. I turn away, heading for the door. I need to get out of here before I say something I can't take back. As I reach for the doorknob, I hear her voice, small, pleading. Ryan, please. I made a mistake. Don't throw everything away because of one stupid mistake. I pause, my hand on the door, torn between the love I used to feel for her and the pain she's caused me. But the betrayal is too deep, the wound too fresh. I can't look at her without seeing those messages, without imagining her with him. I shake my head and walk out, leaving her standing there alone. I spend the next few days in a fog, going through the motions of work and life, while the reality of my situation sinks in. I meet with a lawyer, discussing the logistics of a divorce, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm not just losing my wife. I'm losing everything. My home, my sense of security, my future. It all feels like it's slipping through my fingers. And then Lily starts to manipulate me. She comes to me in tears, apologizing, saying she was drunk, that she didn't know what she was doing. She begs me not to leave her, promising she'll end things with Derek, that she'll do whatever it takes to make it right. For a moment, I almost believe her. the sight of her crying, the memory of what we once had. It's all so powerful. I want to believe that we can go back to the way things were, that this was just a horrible mistake. But deep down, I know better. Still, I hesitate. I don't want to throw away 5 years of marriage without at least trying to save it. I agree to give her another chance, to see if we can rebuild what's been broken. But even as I say the words, I know something's changed inside me. The trust is gone, and with it, a part of me has died. In the days that follow, I try to make things work, but the doubts won't leave me alone. I start noticing little things, how she guards her phone more closely than before, the late nights she claims are for work, the way she avoids my eyes when we talk about the future. The seed of suspicion has been planted, and it grows with every passing day. I catch her in lies, small ones at first, but they add up. I find out she's still seeing Derek, that she's still deceiving me. It's like she's playing a game, stringing me along while she gets what she wants. The realization hits me hard. I've been a fool to believe she would change. That's when I decide I've had enough. I can't live like this, constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if she's lying to me. I won't be made a fool of any longer. I start planning my revenge, something that will expose Lily and Derek for who they really are. I won't just walk away from this. I'm going to make sure they pay for what they've done. I meet with my lawyer again, laying out the evidence I've gathered, the lies I've uncovered. We begin to prepare for a divorce battle, but this time, I'm not going to be the one who loses. I've been the good husband, the forgiving one. Now it's time to be the one in control. As I leave the lawyer's office, I feel a strange sense of calm. The pain is still there, the betrayal still burns, but now there's a purpose behind it. I hire a private investigator the day after I leave the lawyer's office. His name is Mark, a no-nonsense guy in his 40s with a gruff voice and a face that looks like it's seen too much. He doesn't ask many questions, just takes the basic details and promises to get me what I need. It's clear this isn't his first case like this, and the ease with which he talks about catching cheaters gives me an odd sense of comfort. Mark starts following Lily and Derek the next day. I don't tell Lily I'm still moving forward with the divorce. I need her to think I'm still on the fence, still struggling with the decision. At home, I play the part of the husband trying to mend a broken marriage, but inside I'm seething, my anger simmering just below the surface. I wait for the updates from Mark like a man waits for a death sentence. When the first set of photos comes in, I feel like I'm being punched in the gut all over again. There's Lily, my wife, laughing with Derek at a fancy restaurant, her hand casually resting on his. The look on her face is one I haven't seen in a long time. Genuine happiness. It makes me sick. I keep flipping through the pictures, each one a fresh wound. There's no denying it now. They're not just having an affair. They're in a relationship, one that she's invested in more than she ever was with me. I start monitoring Lily's phone and social media accounts, using apps and techniques I never thought I'd have to learn. It feels invasive, wrong, but I need every piece of evidence I can get. The more I dig, the more I uncover. Late-night texts, secretive phone calls, plans made for weekends when I'm out of town. It's all there, laid out in black and white. She's living a double life, and I'm just the fool she's stringing along for security. Lily begins to suspect something is off. She starts being more careful, keeping her phone with her at all times, locking it when she leaves the room. Our conversations become more strained, filled with awkward silences and forced small talk. She's lashing out more too, snapping at me over minor things, her patience wearing thin. I can see the guilt eating at her, but it doesn't stop her from continuing the affair. If anything, it just makes her more reckless. Derek isn't much better. Mark's reports show him to be an arrogant bastard, the kind who thinks he's untouchable. He struts around like he owns the world, never caring who sees him with Lily. It's like he wants me to know, like he's daring me to do something about it. Every photo, every report just fuels my rage, pushes me closer to the edge. Mark gives me a heads up about a business trip Lily and Derek are planning. It's supposed to be a weekend getaway under the guise of a work conference. The perfect cover for them to spend a few days together without suspicion. I let her go, even encourage it, knowing full well what she's really doing. She looks relieved when I don't argue, and that only deepens the knife in my back. While she's away, I meet with my lawyer again. We go over the evidence, piece by piece, and discuss how to protect my assets. The plan is to leave her with nothing, to make sure she can't take what I've built. It's a meticulous process, one that requires patience and precision, but I'm committed to seeing it through. I want her to feel the weight of her choices, to understand that betraying me comes with consequences. But it's not enough to just win the divorce. I want to destroy their little fantasy, to shatter the perfect world they've built on lies and deceit. That's when I decide to leak the affair to our social circle. I start small, dropping hints to a few mutual friends, letting the rumors spread on their own. It doesn't take long for the news to get out, for the whispers to turn into full-blown gossip. Lily comes home from her trip to find herself at the center of a storm. Friends who used to greet her with smiles now look at her with judgment and disgust. She tries to play the victim, to spin the story in her favor, but the evidence is too damning. Screenshots of texts and photos start circulating, and soon everyone knows the truth. Derek is just as affected. His reputation takes a hit as well, and I can see the cracks starting to form in their relationship. Lily's fury is palpable. She confronts me one night, her face twisted with anger. "You did this," she hisses, pointing a finger at me like I'm some kind of villain. "You're trying to ruin me." I don't deny it. "You ruined yourself, Lily. I'm just making sure everyone knows who you really are." She glares at me, her eyes burning with hatred. "You won't get away with this," she spits. "I'll make sure you pay for this." "Go ahead and try," I say calmly, knowing I've got the upper hand. I've already got everything I need to win this. But she's not done. She starts playing the victim card even harder, accusing me of emotional abuse, of controlling her, trying to paint me as the bad guy in all of this. She spins her sob story to anyone who will listen, trying to salvage what's left of her reputation. But it's too late. The damage is done, and no one's buying her lies anymore. The real shock comes when she tries to use these accusations in the divorce proceedings. She brings in her lawyer, a pit bull of a woman who's determined to tear me apart. They come at me with everything they've got, trying to make me out to be the villain, the reason for Lily's affair. They dig into my past looking for anything they can use against me. But I'm ready. I've anticipated this move, and I've already gathered evidence to counter every claim. The tension in the courtroom is unbearable. Lily sits across from me, her face pale, her hands trembling. She looks like a shadow of the woman I once knew, beaten down by the weight of her own lies. Derek is nowhere to be seen. He's abandoned her, leaving her to face the consequences on her own. I lay out the evidence, piece by piece, watching as Lily's defense crumbles. The messages, the photos, the private investigators' reports, they all paint a clear picture of a woman who betrayed her husband, who lied and cheated her way through life. Her lawyer tries to poke holes in the case, but it's no use. The truth is too overwhelming, and there's no way out for Lily. After the trial, Lily is a wreck. She's lost everything. Her reputation, her friends, her marriage. I should feel satisfied, victorious even, but there's an emptiness inside me that I can't shake. I've won, but at what cost? My life has been torn apart, and I'm left standing in the ruins, unsure of what comes next. That's when Derek makes his move. He's been quiet for too long, and I knew he wouldn't just disappear. He starts showing up in places I frequent, making it clear he's watching me. It's subtle at first, a shadow in the corner of my eye, a car parked a little too close to mine. Then the threats begin. Anonymous notes left on my car, vague messages sent to my phone. It's all designed to intimidate me, to make me back off, but it only strengthens my resolve. I realize Derek is more dangerous than I anticipated. He's got connections, resources that go beyond what I initially thought. He's not going to let this go without a fight, and I'm suddenly aware of just how deep I'm in. But I'm too far along to back down now. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about survival. I've come this far, and I'm not going to let him win. As I prepare for what's next, the tension builds, a heavy weight pressing down on me. I don't know how this is going to end, but I do know one thing. I'm not going down without a fight. I've lost too much already, and I'm determined to see this through to the bitter end. no matter what it takes. The divorce proceedings are as brutal as I expected. Lily and her lawyer come at me with everything they've got, and it feels like a battle to the death. They throw every accusation they can think of: emotional abuse, control issues, anything that might paint me as the villain. But I'm prepared. My lawyer, David, is sharp, cutting through their claims with the cold, hard evidence I've gathered. In court, Lily looks frail, like she's lost weight since this whole ordeal began. Her once radiant face is pale, eyes sunken. I can see the toll this has taken on her, but I don't let it sway me. I can't afford to feel pity now, not after what she's done. The courtroom is tense, the air thick with the weight of everything that's been said and done. I sit there, my hands clenched into fists under the table, listening as Lily tries to salvage her reputation. Her lawyer paints a picture of a woman pushed to the brink by a controlling husband, someone who was just trying to find a little happiness in a life that had become unbearable. It's all lies and everyone knows it, but the performance is impressive. Lily dabs at her eyes with a tissue, looking every bit the victim. It's almost convincing, and I can see some of the jury members watching her with sympathy. Then it's my turn. David doesn't hold back, laying out the evidence in meticulous detail. The photos, the texts, the private investigators' reports, it all comes out, exposing the truth about Lily's affair. As each piece of evidence is presented, I watch her crumble a little more, her carefully constructed facade starting to crack. When the final piece of evidence is revealed, an explicit video Lily sent to Derek, the room goes silent. Lily's face drains of color, and for a moment, I almost feel bad for her. Almost. But the memory of those hickeys, the smell of another man on her, the betrayal, I can't let that go. The judge reviews the evidence, his face stern, eyes glancing between Lily and me. There's a moment of tense silence before he delivers his verdict. The divorce is granted in my favor, with Lily getting nothing. No alimony, no share of my assets. She's left with nothing but her shame, and Derek, who I've made sure won't be able to help her. Outside the courtroom, Derek is waiting. He doesn't approach me directly, just watches from a distance, his eyes cold, calculating. I can feel the menace radiating off him, but I don't let it show. I refuse to let him intimidate me. Later that day, I find a note on my car. It's vague but threatening, warning me that this isn't over, that I'll regret what I've done. I know it's from Derek. He's too much of a coward to confront me face to face, so he resorts to these cheap tactics. I tear up the note and toss it in the trash, but the unease lingers. Derek isn't going to let this go easily. I start noticing things. My car has been scratched, my mailbox tampered with, little things that most people wouldn't even register, but I know they're deliberate. I keep a close eye on my surroundings, never letting my guard down. I even start carrying a gun just in case. It's not something I ever thought I'd need, but with Derek, I can't take any chances. My friends and family start to worry about me. They see the toll this is taking, the strain it's putting on me. My mother calls more often, her voice full of concern, asking if I'm okay. I tell her I'm fine, that everything is under control, but I can hear the doubt in her voice. She knows me too well to believe that. The nights are the worst. I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with thoughts of what Derek might do next. I think about Lily too, wondering how she's coping, if she's with him now. The thought makes me sick, but I can't shake it. Despite everything, a part of me still misses her, still longs for the woman I fell in love with. But that woman is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. I start getting calls from unknown numbers, the voice on the other end always silent. I know it's Derek trying to get in my head to wear me down. It's working. Every time my phone rings, my heart skips a beat, and I feel a jolt of anxiety that I can't seem to control. One night, as I'm walking to my car after work, I see him. Derek is leaning against his car across the street, his eyes locked on me. He doesn't move, just stands there, a smirk on his face that makes my blood boil. I know he's trying to provoke me, to get a reaction, but I force myself to stay calm. I can't let him win. I walk straight to my car, ignoring him, but I can feel his eyes on me the entire time. As I drive away, I check my rearview mirror, half expecting to see him following me, but he's not there. Still, the tension doesn't leave. It's like a shadow, always lurking, waiting to pounce. The final confrontation comes 2 weeks later. It's late at night, and I'm home alone, sitting in the living room, nursing a drink. I'm on edge, my nerves frayed from the constant threats, the relentless pressure. I hear a noise outside, something that makes my heart race. I grab my gun, moving slowly toward the door, every muscle in my body tense. When I open the door, Derek is standing there, a cruel smile on his face. "You think you've won, don't you?" he says, his voice dripping with venom. "But this isn't over." I keep the gun at my side, hidden from view. "What do you want, Derek?" "I want you to suffer," he says, stepping closer, his eyes wild. "You took everything from me, and now I'm going to take everything from you." His words send a chill down my spine, but I don't show it. "You've got nothing left to take." He laughs, a cold, hollow sound. "That's where you're wrong. You've got plenty to lose, and I'm going to enjoy watching you fall." He lunges at me, and in that split second, everything slows down. I react on instinct, raising the gun, firing a shot that echoes through the night. Derek staggers back, a look of shock on his face as he clutches his chest, blood seeping through his fingers. He collapses to the ground, gasping for breath, his eyes wide with fear. I stand there, my hands shaking, the gun still pointed at him, my heart pounding so hard I can barely think. He tries to speak, but the words come out as a gurgle, blood bubbling from his mouth. I watch as the life drains from his eyes, and then he's still. I don't move for what feels like an eternity. The weight of what I've just done crashes down on me, a tidal wave of guilt and horror. I've killed a man, taken a life in a moment of fear and anger. The realization leaves me cold, numb, like I'm detached from my own body. When the police arrive, I'm still standing there, the gun in my hand, Derek's body at my feet. I don't resist as they cuff me, don't say a word as they read me my rights. I'm too stunned, too lost in the aftermath of what I've done. The courtroom is a blur of voices and faces, the trial a relentless march toward an inevitable conclusion. My lawyer argues self-defense, but the evidence is damning. I'm sentenced to prison, and as I'm led away, I can't shake the feeling that I've lost everything. My life, my freedom, even the revenge I'd so desperately sought. It all feels hollow now, meaningless in the face of what I've done. In the end, I'm left with nothing but the cold, hard reality of my actions. I've destroyed my life, and for what? A fleeting moment of satisfaction, a brief taste of revenge. It wasn't worth it. None of it was. As the cell door closes behind me, I realize that the real prison isn't the one I'm in now. It's the one I've built for myself, brick by brick, with every choice I made, every line I crossed, and there's no escape from that, not ever. The cell door slams shut behind me, the sound echoing off the cold concrete walls. I'm alone in a small windowless room with nothing but a metal cot and a toilet. The reality of what's happened, what I've done, settles on me like a suffocating weight. I can't believe I'm here, locked away for killing a man, but I know there was no other way it could have ended. I replay the events of that night over and over in my mind, dissecting every detail, every moment where things could have gone differently. But the truth is, I saw no way out. Derek had cornered me, pushed me to the edge, and I reacted the only way I knew how. It was him or me, and in that split second, I chose me. But now, standing here in this cell, the reality of that choice is like a knife twisting in my gut. I've lost everything, my freedom, my life as I knew it, and any chance of moving past this nightmare. Lily is gone, Derek is dead, and I'm left to pick up the pieces of a life that's been shattered beyond repair. The days blur together in a monotonous routine of counting the hours until the next meal, the next moment of human interaction. I'm kept separate from the general population, given the high-profile nature of my case. My lawyer, David, visits regularly, working on an appeal, but even he knows the chances of reducing my sentence are slim. Every night, I lie on the cot, staring at the ceiling, haunted by the ghosts of my past. Lily's face twisted in anger, Derek's eyes wide with fear in his final moments. They're always there, a constant reminder of the life I destroyed, of the man I've become. But as the days pass, something begins to shift inside me. The anger, the bitterness that fueled me for so long starts to fade, replaced by something else. Regret. Regret for the choices I made, for the path I took, for the life I threw away in a quest for revenge. It's a slow process, this awakening, but it's there, growing stronger with each passing day. One afternoon, David comes to see me, a grim look on his face. The appeal was denied, he says, his voice heavy with the weight of the words. I nod, the news not surprising. I knew this was coming, but hearing it out loud still hits me like a punch to the gut. There's one last thing we can try, David says, leaning forward. We can push for parole on the grounds of good behavior, but it's going to be a long shot. You'll need to show real remorse. Take responsibility for what you did. I already do, I say quietly, meeting his gaze. I've had nothing but time to think about it, and I know what I did was wrong. I know that now. David studies me for a moment, then nods. I believe you, and if we can convince the board that you're serious, that you've changed, you might have a chance at getting out of here someday. Someday, I echo, the word feeling hollow, but it's something, a sliver of hope in a life that's been stripped of everything else. Months turn into years, and I settle into the routine of prison life. It's not easy, but I adapt, finding small ways to pass the time, to keep myself from sinking into despair. I read a lot, anything I can get my hands on. Books, magazines, newspapers. It's a way to escape, even if only for a few hours. I also start writing. At first, it's just a way to organize my thoughts, to put down on paper everything that's been swirling in my mind. But it quickly becomes more than that. I write about my life, my mistakes, my regrets, and slowly the words begin to form something coherent, something meaningful. It's cathartic, a way to make sense of everything that's happened. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of purpose. One day I receive a letter. It's from Lily. The envelope is plain, the handwriting familiar, and my heart races as I tear it open. Inside, there's a single sheet of paper, the words scrawled in a hurried, almost frantic hand. Ryan, I don't know why I'm writing this, but I need you to know that I'm sorry. For everything. I've thought about it a lot, and I realize now how much I hurt you, how wrong I was. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I can forgive myself, but I needed to say it. I'm living with my sister now, trying to start over. It's not easy, and I'm not sure I deserve a second chance, but I'm trying. I hope you find some peace too, wherever you are. Lily, I read the letter over and over, the words blurring as tears fill my eyes. It's the first time I've allowed myself to cry since all of this began, and once the tears start, I can't stop them. It's like a dam breaking, years of pain and anger and regret spilling out all at once. Lily's letter stays with me, a small, fragile piece of hope that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for redemption for both of us. I write back, keeping my words simple, honest. Lily, thank you for your letter. It means more than you know. I've had a lot of time to think, to reflect on everything that happened, and I want you to know that I forgive you. I know that might not mean much now, but I needed to say it. We both made mistakes, and I think it's time we let go of the past and try to move forward. I wish you the best in your new life. Take care of yourself. Ryan, I send the letter, not knowing if I'll ever hear back, but feeling a sense of closure that I haven't felt in years. It's a small step, but it's something, a way to start healing the wounds that have festered for so long. As the years pass, I continue to work on myself, to make peace with my past. I attend therapy sessions offered by the prison, learning to face my demons, to understand the choices that led me here. It's hard work, painful at times, but it's necessary. I know that now. And then, one day I'm called to the warden's office. I walk in, my heart pounding, wondering what this is about. The warden, a stern woman with sharp eyes, looks up from her desk as I enter. Ryan, she says, her voice neutral, the parole board has reviewed your case. They've decided to grant you early release. The words hit me like a ton of bricks. I can't believe it. Can't process what she's saying. I'm I'm getting out, I stammer, my voice thick with emotion. She nods, her expression softening slightly. You've shown real progress, real remorse. The board believes you deserve a second chance. You'll be released next week. I leave her office in a daze, the reality of what's happening slowly sinking in. I'm getting out. After all this time, all these years, I'm finally going to be free. The week passes in a blur, and before I know it, I'm standing at the prison gates, a small duffel bag in hand, the world spread out before me. The air is crisp, the sky a brilliant blue, and for the first time in a long time, I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with the scent of freedom. I don't know what the future holds, don't know how I'm going to rebuild my life from the ashes. But as I walk away from the prison, leaving the past behind me, I feel a sense of hope, of possibility. I'm not the same man I was when I walked into that cell all those years ago. I'm older, wiser, scarred by the choices I made, but I'm also stronger, more determined to make something of the life I have left. I know it won't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to face whatever comes next. As I step into the sunlight, feeling its warmth on my face, I know one thing for sure. I'm not looking back. The past is behind me, and the future, whatever it may hold, is mine to shape. When I step out of the prison gates, the world feels different. The air is crisp, the sky a clear blue, and for the first time in years, I feel the sun on my face without any bars between us. It's surreal, like I'm living in someone else's body. I take a deep breath, trying to anchor myself, but the weight of everything that's happened, everything I've done, still presses down on me. I'm free, but I don't feel free. Not yet. My lawyer, David, is waiting for me just outside. He's the same as always. Sharp suit, unreadable expression. You ready? He asks, his voice steady, professional. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. He leads me to his car, and we drive in silence, the city passing by in a blur of colors and noise that I'm not used to anymore. As we pull up to my new apartment, a small, modest place that David found for me, I feel a strange mix of relief and anxiety. This is my life now, a far cry from the house I used to share with Lily. But it's mine. I should be grateful, and I am, but the ghosts of my past aren't so easy to shake. The apartment is bare, just the essentials. A bed, a table, a few chairs. It feels empty, but then again, so do I. I drop my duffel bag on the floor and collapse onto the bed, staring up at the ceiling. The silence is deafening, and my thoughts start to spiral. I try to focus on the future, on rebuilding my life, but the past keeps pulling me back. I'm not sure how long I lie there, but eventually I hear a knock on the door. It startles me, and for a moment, my heart races, the paranoia from prison life kicking in. But then I remember where I am, and I force myself to get up and answer it. It's David holding a stack of papers. Thought I'd bring these by, he says, stepping inside. It's everything you need to start getting your affairs in order. Bank accounts, IDs, job applications. Job applications? I cut in, my voice rough from disuse. He nods, looking at me with a mix of pity and pragmatism. You're going to need to work, Ryan. Your assets are mostly gone, and you can't live off the little that's left forever. The reality of it sinks in. I'm starting over from nothing, but I can't afford to wallow. I've made my bed, and now I have to lie in it. I take the papers from David, flipping through them. It's overwhelming, but I push through, knowing I have no other choice. I thank him, and he leaves me alone again, back to the oppressive silence of my new reality. Days turn into weeks, and I settle into a routine. I find a job at a local hardware store, a far cry from the business I used to run, but it's work, and it keeps my mind occupied. The hours are long, the pay isn't great, but I'm grateful for the distraction. Every night I return to my empty apartment, exhausted but too wired to sleep. I cook simple meals, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy, but it all feels hollow. The nights are the hardest. That's when the memories come flooding back, unbidden and relentless. Lily's face, Derek's cold smirk, the sound of the gunshot ringing in my ears. It's a loop I can't escape. One night, after a particularly brutal day at work, I find myself staring at the ceiling again, the weight of it all pressing down on me. I'm lost in thought when my phone buzzes on the nightstand. I don't recognize the number, but something compels me to answer. Hello? My voice is hoarse, almost unrecognizable. Ryan, it's me. The voice on the other end is soft, familiar. It takes me a moment to place it, but when I do, my heart skips a beat. Lily? There's a pause and I can almost hear her breathing, steady but hesitant. Yes, I wasn't sure if I should call, but I've been thinking about you. I needed to hear your voice. I don't know what to say. The last time we spoke was through letters, cold words on paper. Hearing her now, after everything, is jarring. I got your letter, she continues when I don't respond. I didn't know if I should write back, but I wanted to. I just didn't know what to say. I close my eyes, trying to steady my thoughts. It's okay, Lily. You don't owe me anything. That's not true, she says quickly, her voice trembling slightly. I owe you a lot, Ryan. I hurt you, and I've been trying to make sense of it all. I've been in therapy, working on myself, but there's so much I wish I could change. I swallow hard, the emotions I've kept buried for so long threatening to rise to the surface. We both made mistakes, Lily. We both did things we regret. I know, she whispers, but I can't stop thinking about what happened, about what I did to you. I'm so sorry, Ryan, for everything. The sincerity in her voice cuts through me, and for a moment I'm back in that dark place, consumed by anger and betrayal. But then I remember the journey I've been on, the hard-fought progress I've made. I can't go back there, not now. I forgive you, Lily, I say, the words heavy but necessary. I've had a lot of time to think, and holding on to the anger isn't helping either of us. We need to move on. She's quiet for a long time, and I wonder if she's still there. But then she speaks, her voice soft, almost fragile. Thank you, Ryan. That means more to me than you know. We talk for a while longer, about her life now, about the therapy she's been going through, and about the new life she's trying to build. I listen, offering support where I can, but keeping a safe distance. I know we can never go back to what we were, and that's okay. This is about finding closure, about letting go. When we finally hang up, I feel a strange sense of peace. It's not a happy ending, but it's an ending, and that's something. The next morning, I wake up early, feeling lighter than I have in a long time. I decide to go for a walk, to clear my head and start the day on a positive note. The sun is just rising, casting a golden hue over the city, and for the first time since I got out, I feel a glimmer of hope. As I walk, I think about my future, about what comes next. I know it won't be easy, that the road ahead is long and uncertain, but I'm ready to face it. I've spent too long looking back, haunted by my mistakes. It's time to start looking forward. I get back to my apartment and make a decision. I'm going to keep writing, not just for myself, but maybe to help others. I've been through hell and back, and if sharing my story can make a difference, even a small one, then it's worth it. I sit down at my small desk, pull out a notebook, and start writing. The words flow easier than I expected, and before I know it, hours have passed. I write about everything: my life before Lily, the betrayal, the revenge, the prison, and the slow, painful journey to forgiveness. It's cathartic, but it's also more than that. It's a way to take control of my narrative, to define my life on my terms, not as a victim of circumstance. As the weeks turn into months, I continue writing, refining my story, finding meaning in the chaos. I even reach out to a few publishers, not expecting much, but hoping that maybe, just maybe, my words will resonate with someone. And then, one day I get a call. A small publishing house is interested in my manuscript. They think it has potential, that it could help people who have gone through similar experiences. I'm stunned, almost disbelieving, but they're serious. They want to publish my story. It's a small victory, but it feels monumental. After everything, after all the pain and darkness, I found a way to turn it into something positive, something that might make a difference. The book is published a few months later, and while it doesn't become a bestseller, it reaches people. I start receiving letters from readers, people who have been through their own trials, who found solace in my words. It's humbling, and it gives me a sense of purpose I haven't felt in years. Lily writes to me again, congratulating me on the book. She tells me she's proud of me, that she's found some peace in her own life too. She's met someone new, someone who treats her well, and while it stings a little, I'm genuinely happy for her. We're both moving on, in our own ways. As I sit in my apartment, surrounded by the letters from readers, I realize that this is my new life. It's not what I expected, and it's not what I planned, but it's mine. I've found a way to rebuild, to create something meaningful out of the wreckage. I'm not the man I used to be, and I've been free for a year now. But freedom is a strange thing. It doesn't wipe the slate clean or erase the past. It just gives you space to live with it, to try and find a way forward. Some days I feel like I'm doing okay. I've got a steady job at the hardware store, and I'm still writing. The book I published reached more people than I ever expected. The letters I receive from readers are a constant reminder that my story, painful as it is, resonates with others. It's strange, this sense of purpose, of helping others while I'm still struggling to help myself. I think about Lily sometimes. It's hard not to, especially when I see reminders of our old life together. I heard she moved away, found someone new, and I'm glad for her. We're both trying to rebuild, to start over in our own ways. The anger I once felt towards her has dulled, replaced by a sort of melancholy acceptance. What we had is gone, and I've finally come to terms with that. But the nights are still hard. The nightmares come less frequently now, but when they do, they're brutal. I relive that night with Derek, the moment when everything spiraled out of control. I see his face, the fear in his eyes as he realized I wasn't backing down. It's a face I'll never forget, no matter how hard I try. It's my burden to carry, and I'm learning to live with it. I've made a habit of taking long walks at night. It helps clear my head, helps me find some semblance of peace. The city is quiet in those hours. The street's mostly empty, and it's the only time I feel like I can breathe. I walk until my legs ache, until the thoughts in my head start to quiet down. It's not much, but it's something. One night I find myself walking by a park not far from my apartment. The air is cool, the kind of crisp that comes with the first hints of fall. I sit down on a bench, the distant sound of traffic the only thing breaking the silence. I close my eyes, letting the calm of the moment wash over me. Then I hear footsteps approaching. I open my eyes, and there's a man standing a few feet away. He's tall, broad-shouldered, his face partially obscured by the shadows. Something about him puts me on edge, a primal instinct warning me to be cautious. "Ryan Mitchell?" he asks, his voice low, almost a growl. I don't answer right away. My heart starts to race, my mind flashing through all the possible scenarios. I'm not sure if this is one of Derek's friends, someone from my past, or just a stranger who's recognized me from the book. Either way, I don't like the look in his eyes. "Who's asking?" I finally say, keeping my voice steady, controlled. He steps closer, into the light, and I see his face clearly for the first time. There's a hardness to his features, a roughness that speaks of a life lived on the edge. He's not here for small talk. That much is clear. "I'm here to deliver a message," he says, and there's no mistaking the menace in his tone. "You thought you could just walk away, start over like nothing happened. But some things don't just go away." My pulse quickens, a cold sweat breaking out on the back of my neck. "What do you want?" "It's not about what I want," he says, a cruel smile tugging at his lips. "It's about what you owe." Derek had friends, powerful ones, and they're not happy with how things turned out. They think you need a reminder that actions have consequences. I feel a surge of anger, a flicker of the old rage that used to drive me, but I push it down. I can't afford to let it take over, not now. "Derek's dead. There's nothing more to be done." "Maybe," he shrugs, "but that doesn't mean people have forgotten. You made some enemies, Ryan, dangerous ones. They just wanted you to know they're still watching." He turns to leave, and for a moment I consider going after him, demanding more answers. But something holds me back. This isn't a fight I can win. Not like this. I've already lost too much. As he walks away, disappearing into the shadows, I'm left alone with my thoughts, the weight of his words pressing down on me. I know this isn't over, not by a long shot. Derek's death may have closed one chapter, but it's opened another, one that I'm not sure I'm ready to face. The past has a way of creeping back, of refusing to stay buried, no matter how hard you try to move on. I realize now that my battle is far from over. The fear that follows me home that night is different from the fear I felt in prison. This fear is more insidious, a constant nagging in the back of my mind that won't let me rest. I keep the lights on, triple-check the locks, and sit by the window, watching the street below for any sign of danger. Sleep doesn't come easily, and when it does, it's shallow, restless. The next morning I go about my routine, but there's a tension in my muscles, a hyper-awareness of everything around me. Every stranger on the street, every unusual sound makes my heart jump. I'm on edge, and it's exhausting. I don't know how long I can keep this up. I try to focus on my writing, but the words don't come like they used to. My thoughts are too scattered, too consumed with what happened last night. I need to find a way to protect myself, to figure out who this man was and what he wants. But how do you fight an enemy you can't see, one that lurks in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike? As the days go by, the tension doesn't ease. I start to wonder if I'm imagining things, if the encounter was just a fluke, a moment of paranoia brought on by my past. But deep down, I know better. Derek's death left a scar that hasn't healed, and now it's starting to fester. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I'm not done fighting. I've come too far, survived too much to let fear take over now. Whatever comes next, I'll face it head on, the way I've faced everything else. Because this is my life, my story, and I'm not letting anyone take that from me again. As I sit down at my desk, staring at the blank page in front of me, I feel a sense of resolve settle in my chest. I'm not the man I used to be, and I'll never be that man again. But I'm still here, still standing, and that counts for something. I pick up my pen, take a deep breath, and start writing again.